Hi, my name is Jill Work, and I teach at the French American School in Princeton, New Jersey. I'm teaching STEM with an emphasis in technology and engineering. In the past, I've also taught music, theater, art, gifted and talented library, and technology. I'm going to see how many curriculum ideas and projects I can cram into this half an hour so you can walk away with things that you can use in your classroom. I teach pre-K through 8th grade, so there's something for everyone. At the end of this video, I will give you a link to my website, which has downloadable templates and step-by-step instructions, as well as additional pictures, resources, and links for most of these projects. This is a simple copter that even a preschooler could do. There is a downloadable template for this on my website. You cut on these two cut lines, you roll it around, you hook them together, slot into slot, and voila, you have a spinning copter. This is a much more complex copter, I would say 3rd grade and up. It has a combination of folds and cuts and requires a paper clip as well as the paper. There is a downloadable template for this copter on my website. Students of all ages love making paper airplanes, from extremely simple ones to much more complex ones. On my website, you can find a link to a great video on some different ways to create a paper airplane launcher. The CD hovercraft requires a CD, a bottle cap, like from a soda or a water bottle, and a balloon. Simply punch a hole in the center of the top of the bottle cap and glue it securely to the CD, covering the hole on the CD. Blow up a balloon and pinch the bottom and fit the bottom of it over the cap, then let go, and your hovercraft will start hovering over the table. The pinwheel was an open-ended assignment for 8th graders who are studying wind energy. I showed them this picture and asked them, just by looking at the picture, no looking it up on the internet, to make a pinwheel that works. I gave them this particular assortment of supplies and let them go to it. In the solution that seemed to work the best for me, I took the paper straw, which is quite stiff, and I punched a hole in it with the yarn needle. Then I reamed out the hole a little more with the toothpick and unbent half of a paper clip. The unbent part went through the hole while the bent part was taped to the straw. I wanted to use the unbent part of the paper clip as the shaft for the pinwheel, but I did not want the pinwheel to run into the straw. So I took a bit of the Play-Doh and made a kind of gasket between the stick that holds the pinwheel and the pinwheel blades. For video instruction on how to make the blades of the pinwheel, see the link on my website. I bent the end of the paperclip up using children's safety scissors, so I know it can be done, so that the pinwheel would not spin right off the rod, and as you can see, it works. This catapult is very easy to do using craft sticks, a recycled lid of a soda bottle, rubber bands, and a little tiny piece of cardboard. Take 8 of the craft sticks and rubber band them together very tightly with a rubber band on each end. Then take the 2 remaining craft sticks and rubber band them at one end about an inch from the end. Next, take the bundled sticks and shove them in between the other 2 sticks as far as they will go. Then take some rubber bands and crisscross across all of the sticks so that they will hold together. Punch a hole in the center of the bottle cap and thread a rubber band through it. In order to keep the rubber band from coming back out through the hole, put a little piece of cardboard under the rubber band so that when you pull on it from behind the cap, from what would be the top of the cap, it's not going to pull through the hole. Then you take the remaining part of the rubber band and wrap it around the shaft of your catapult. I have found this to be an extremely effective way of keeping the cap on the catapult when you're using the catapult. And also, it's nice in that it doesn't involve any additional holes or glue that may or may not hold. I like using these catapults at Halloween. I show some videos of pumpkin chucking, and we roll up orange paper and we do our own pumpkin chucking contest. You can see samples on my website as well as links. This grabber arm required a little bit of prep work. The 8 popsicle sticks given to each student had a hole drilled in the middle and at each end about half an inch from the end. I gave each student the 8 pre-drilled jumbo craft sticks, 2 mini craft sticks, 10 brass fasteners, and some tape. I challenged the 5th graders to figure out how these parts would go together in order to make an extended grabbing arm. After a few false starts, somebody stumbled on the solution, and soon everybody had a grabbing arm. One of the remaining challenges was what to do with the 2 small pieces so it actually would grab at the other end. So they played with different angles and used the tape to get them exactly how they wanted them. Jumping jacks on a stick are very fun to make and even more fun to play with. See my website for a template on how to set it up and do the tying. This particular jumping jack has the key character from the book, The Very Ugly Bug. The book, The Dot, has inspired an International Dot Day, and there are plenty of STEAM, art, and literacy tie-ins to this book. For International Dot Day, I had 3rd through 5th graders creating architectural structures using dots, the candy, and sticks. The dots and the sticks were something I found at a dollar store, so it was very inexpensive. I challenged the students first to make a square and then to turn the square into a cube. Then, once that was done for each particular student, they were allowed to experiment and play and create any shape they wanted. The book, 21 Elephants and Still Standing, was about the Brooklyn Bridge when it was newly built and people were afraid to walk on it. That book inspired this bridge building project. The task in this project was to build a bridge out of a single piece of construction paper. It could be folded, it could be rolled, but it could not be cut or taped. The goal was to span the space between 2 books with your paper bridge and have it hold up under the weight of 21 of something, be it pennies or Jenga blocks, or even, in this case, plastic elephants. For the early childhood students, I made up 6 or 7 different paper bridges, and they had to guess which ones would hold up under the weight of the pennies the best, and each got to try out one of the bridges. In the 2nd grade, we used Jenga blocks, and this 2nd grader was the only one to be able to hold 21 blocks on his bridge. The 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students used plastic elephants on their bridges. Part of the challenge is that the elephants did not fit on the bridge as well as the Jenga blocks or the pennies. Our sixth grade is working on a cardboard engineering unit, taking our inspiration from Kane's Arcade. You can find the link to that and to the Global Cardboard Challenge on the website. We started off by making charts of cardboard attachment techniques, and then we started on our cat contraptions. And each of their projects has to use at least 3 different cardboard attachment techniques. Next, I wanted to expose the students to the idea of designing for someone other than themselves. I have a friend with 2 cats, and so she is our client that we are building for her cats. The students have a choice of making a cat castle or a Roomba rider. Those who design a cat castle get to keep it for themselves, even if they're using specifications from the client. Those who choose to make a Roomba rider need to offer it to the client, and she will pick the one that she wishes to keep. In return, the client has promised pictures and video of her cats enjoying the Roomba rider. On my website, you will find a link to the video that inspired this project. It has a cardboard pirate ship on a Roomba with cats riding in it. In my varied career, I have actually worked as a theatrical prop designer, and I made cardboard lanterns that would look realistic from the stage. This serves as our inspiration for our upcoming lantern project. In addition to realism, I want the students to think about practicality. They need to be able to easily swap out the tea lights in these lanterns in the midst of a show or between shows. I want students to think about things that they have seen in their life and translate those into their own designs. This particular closure technique was something I have seen in my life. I don't remember where or when, but I was able to use it in this design. The items available to use for this project included some string I got from a dollar store, an inexpensive fishing weight I got at Walmart, a roll of tape, and a pulley that I got at a garage sale. If you don't have a pulley, you could actually make a do it yourself one and it would work just fine. I challenged the students to use just these materials to figure out how to turn on the light or off the light. The seventh graders actually figured out how to use these materials to turn it on and off with a single device. The second day I used this, I couldn't find where I'd put the fishing weight, so we substituted 2 rolls of masking tape. It worked perfectly well. I used this with as young as first grade, and they were able to figure out at least how to turn it on or off. The older grades could do both. See my website for a more detailed schematic and some pictures that are a bit clearer. This project was building a geodesic dome out of sticks made out of tightly rolled newspaper. This was done at a maker's day at a public library, and all day long people were rolling newspaper. At a designated time towards the end of the day, people came back to help build it from all of these tightly rolled newspaper sticks. And so they laid it out on the ground and built it a layer at a time. And here is the final result, which was surprisingly sturdy and a lot of fun. This project is also inspired by the book The Dot and talks about sequencing, which is perfect for early math concepts and also pre-coding concepts. For first and second graders, I gave them each 3 dots of 3 different colors and asked them to make a sequence on a strip of paper, and they could choose how they wanted that sequence to happen. For preschool and kindergarten, I started a sequence with dots and had them finish the sequence using crayons or markers. I find it is valuable to give students open ended projects that they need to figure out on their own and then later show them the solutions if they need it. For this project, I gave them an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and asked them to cut a hole in it big enough that they could walk through it. I ended up iterating my instructions once I found out that some of them were so slim that they could cut the inside of the paper out, leaving only an 1/8 inch border, and they could wiggle through it. So my current instruction I use is I ask them to cut a hole in the paper big enough that I can pass through it. This is how big the hole is around the necks of several of the fourth graders who worked on this project. These are the cuts that you make in the paper after folding it in half long ways. Look at my website for a template and further instructions. This hexahedron shape is an origami shape I like making. It uses 3 pieces of square paper. It's a little complex to do in the context of this particular video, but check on my website and I will include links to videos of people who do it very well. Zentangle uses patterns, another early math concept. You take a basic shape, an outline kind of shape, and arbitrarily divide it how you want, and each section you have created will have a different pattern. Very often, Zentangle is simply black and white, and you can get as simple or as complex as you want to with the designs. So this can work with first graders and it can work with eighth graders. You can also cut out shapes and then Zentangle the shapes you've cut out. These were done on a Cricut machine. You might want to combine 2 different design techniques. You can Zentangle pieces of square paper and then assemble them into an origami hexahedron. Logic problems are a good way to work on problem solving and sequential thinking. If you check on my website, I've got links to some sites that offer online options for logic problems. Another way to practice logical sequential thinking, as well as exploring the idea of variables, is to do secret codes, numerical codes, alphabetic codes, and symbolic codes. There's a packet that is downloadable from the website. I like to use the book How to Code a Sandcastle by Joshua Funk to introduce young students to the ideas and concepts in coding. Within the book, students will learn certain vocabulary such as code, sequence, loop, and if then else. I like to follow up the reading and discussion of the book with an exercise I call How to Code a Peanut Butter and Jelly Sandwich. The students are required to think very logically and sequentially and tell me what happens. They almost always tell me right away to put the peanut butter on the bread and forget to tell me that I have to open the jar and take it out with a knife or a spoon. After numerous missteps, we will eventually get the peanut butter and jelly sandwich coated, and inevitably somebody wants a variable. Somebody will want Nutella with their peanut butter, or somebody wants cream cheese with their jelly, or maybe they want to use almond butter. And then we start doing the if then else. so that we can accommodate the various variables. These vocabulary words and concepts are transferable to actual coding exercises in programs such as Lightbot, Scratch, or Dash Blockly. Chain reactions can reinforce a number of different physics concepts such as force and motion, cause and effect, and transfers of energy. It can also be used to teach simple machines. Chain reaction projects are perfect because you can use any found objects at home or at school. You can expand it into a Rube Goldberg machine. Check out my YouTube playlist for chain reactions if you're looking for some inspiration. This is one of my favorite projects to do with paper towel rolls. We make leprechaun houses for St. Patrick's Day. You can cover the house in green felt or foil and add any sort of ornaments you want, including things like pipe cleaners or feathers or stickers. If you cut out some windows and doors and cover them with wax paper or tissue paper, then you can put a tea light inside and it will illuminate your house. Tea lights are two for $1 at Dollar Tree, so they're easy to come by and inexpensive. Another dollar store tea light hack is to make ping pong votives. You can usually get ping pong balls in white, orange, or even sometimes green for 6 for $1 at a dollar store. All you need to do is cut a hole in the bottom of the ping pong ball and glue it onto the tea light, and you're ready to go. A glue gun would probably be the best way, or Gorilla Glue, or else you need to let it sit a long time or it will simply fall off. Here are some sample ping pong votives that were made for Halloween. This particular project is entirely in the art discipline, but I love doing it for Halloween. I start by reading the book Creepy Carrots. Then I have students make their own creepy carrots and put together a creepy carrot patch. You can use sticker eyes or googly eyes or have them draw the eyes on. This is a perfect craft for Chinese New Year. First, you start with a circle, and the size should be somewhere between a paper plate dessert plate size and a regular paper plate size. Then you fold that circle in half. Next, you fold it in half again, and then you make the cuts as shown. Look at the next slide to see the cuts a little bit better. The cuts will not quite go to the other side. There's a template for this on my website. Then you open up what you've cut and it will look something like this. Once you have cut out a number of these, then you glue the center of each one to the one that follows, like this. Here is another view from under the yellow paper. This one is a little beat up from years of use, but this is approximately how it will look when you pull it out, with the centers connected and the rest of it stretches out open. Notan is a Japanese paper cutting art form that emphasizes contrast between light and dark and symmetry. At its simplest, you have a full sheet of one paper and a half sheet of the other color, and you cut a shape out of the half sheet, flip it over so it is on the full sheet, and then you get a symmetrical design. When you want to get fancier, you put a square of one color in a larger piece of the other color, and you do what is called exploding the square. You can go out from the square towards the edges. You can also go back and forth with this. So if you have a black square, you flip the black piece out, you can cut out of the black piece and put it back into the negative space inside the black square. So you're going to end up with double and triple flips. This is one I would describe as quadruple flipping to the outside of the square. This is something I bring in to show students to just let them know what is possible. And it's called the dollar store dragon. This particular dragon was made out of some found objects I had in my craft supplies at home and $43 worth of dollar store materials. I like to have them look at the dragon and see if they can identify the different pieces that I've hacked into dragon parts. I like to pair this activity with the book The Last Dragon. The finished dragon is 9 feet long and can fit 4 children underneath it. If you want to see what it's made out of, go check out the website. As promised, I will give you the link to my website that has all of these low budget, no budget STEAM projects. Here is the URL to the website. This website has a lot more pictures, downloadable handouts and templates, and links to outside sites where you might find more information on these projects and similar projects. For those seeking digital resources in this time in which we have many distant students, you're welcome to use those on my Bibliotechy blog. It has a blog, it has poetry pages, and also digital stories and digital story podcasts that you're free to listen to. At some point, some of those may need to be taken down when permissions expire. Here is the URL for the Bibliotechy blog. Please bear in mind that I am not keeping the blog up, but I did put a lot of things on the site back in the spring. One last resource you might be interested in taking advantage of. I have a YouTube channel where I've not only posted things I've done and my students done, but also curated resources. These resources include curated playlists on topics such as engineering, whiteboard animation, stop motion animation, digital storytelling, and chain reactions. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you want to connect and share ideas. I'd love to hear what you're doing, talk about what I'm doing, and see if we can help each other come up with some new STEAM ideas. Have a great day.